And the bad news is Ben Rothwell might be getting an unbeatable challenge for his heavyweight world championship. Yes, Andrei Arlovski is just about to make his bare knuckle debut. Now, if you don't know who Andrei Arlovski If you don't know who Andrei Arlovski are, then where have you been? He is a UFC veteran. If he's not already in the UFC Hall of Fame, he will be one very, very soon. He must be, because when you're talking about all-time heavyweight legends in the UFC, you're talking about someone who debuted in the UFC in the year 2000. He's had the most heavyweight fights. He's had the second most heavyweight knockdowns. He is 34-24 as a pro MMA fighter, so it's 58 fights. And 50% of those wins have come by knockout. So he is a serious, serious striker. And if you want to go through the who's who of who he's fought, some of which he's lost, a lot of which he's lost, a lot of which he's beaten, you're talking about super, super strikers. And this list is ridiculous. Aspinall, De Lima, Rosenstrike beat Ben Rothwell twice. Once by knockout, once by submission. Tuivasa, Ngannou, Tybura, Josh Barnett, Overeem, Miocic. He beat Frank Mir. He beat Brown. He beat Antonio Silva. He beat Roy Nelson. He beat Fabricio Werdum. He beat Brendan Schaub. And he beat Tim Sylvia. And that is just a few. That isn't anywhere near all of them. It's a ridiculous record. You're talking about a 50% KO win ratio, and you think, yeah, he's 46 now. You know, he went on a bit of a losing streak before he left the UFC and before he stopped fighting with MMA. He probably hasn't still got it anymore. And if you watched his debut as a sort of I don't know what you'd call it, hybrid boxing. Sorry, he fought on Mike Perry's Dirty Boxing literally a few months ago. And it was a fabulous performance. And you're talking about 46-year-olds, mate. He does not look 46. He looks in tremendous shape. He hasn't got a grey hair on his head. And his fighting styles, when it just comes to striking, when you're eliminating the kicks and you're eliminating the takedowns, mate, he looks fast. He looks technical. He looks strong. His footwork's fantastic. One little mistake I see he was making was he did have his chin up in the air, and that's years of doing MMA, I suppose. It's an easy mistake to make because the stances are a lot more upright, but I'm sure his coaches will be getting him to tuck that chin in and keep it down, and I just think the sky's the limit for Andrei Arlovski in the bare knuckle fighting championship, and he may only have a couple of years left at it, but when you are as good a striker as he is with boxing style, like you see him in Dirty Boxing, he had a nice tight guard. He did move his arms slightly, but used his shots, nice long shots. He controlled the range. He had lovely footwork. He landed beautiful flurries. He ended up stopping the guy. I can't think of the guy's name. He fought with a thudding shot, cut his head right open. And obviously he's got the credentials for roughing people up on the inside, wrestling people on the inside, and we know that he can knock out Ben Rothwell, who has looked more or less unstoppable. And the fella that he's making his debut against is Josh Copeland, who is another MMA veteran, not UFC veteran. He only had 2 UFC fights and lost them both, so he couldn't cut it quite at the top level. But he is an 18-7-1 MMA fighter, albeit at a bit of a lower level. He's had 3 fights in the BKFC and he's looked very good in those. He's 6'1", Arlovski's 6'3". He's going to be a little bit taller, a little bit longer. Josh Copeland won by KO versus DaCosta. He won by TKO versus Heralius, sorry. Both in round 3, funnily enough. And he lost to Ben Rothwell. And that was at the end of round 3, funnily enough. But in the Ben Rothwell performance, he put on a better performance against him than anyone else has and gave him more of a challenge, because he did not allow he did. Ben Rothwell dropped him towards the end of the second round, and that was when Ben Rothwell started finding his range. It was a momentary lapse of concentration that got him caught with an uppercut that got him dropped in that second round. Had that had not happened, he could well have because I had him win in the first round. He hurt Ben Rothwell really badly. He shut his eye, he cut him. He was not letting Ben Rothwell size bullying him. He was inside wrestling him, pushing him all round the circle, all round the ring. And yeah, he was, every time Rothwell stepped him in the southpaw, Josh Copeland was landing an overhand right and catching him. And it was a fabulous performance. He's a very clever, very technical striker. Now, if Arlovski comes in and he does what I think he's going to do, he will knock Josh Copeland out and he will make it look a lot easier than Ben Rothwell did, because I think Arlovski is a lot more of a traditional boxer than Rothwell is. He's big, obviously he's strong, obviously he's devastating, but he's a bit of a slugger. He doesn't look the greatest technically. He hasn't got very good head movement. He hasn't got a very good guard. And he just relies on being a big giant just to take people down. Whereas Arlovski, he's a big geezer, still 6'3", long levers, and he boxes beautifully, as we've seen throughout his MMA career, and as we have seen in his dirty boxing fight. Uses his levers, uses his jab, as I say, throws beautiful flurries, doesn't rely on just one shot, sort of tie clinches and just pummeling on the inside like Ben Rothwell does. And I think the heavyweight BKFC division should all have their eyes on this fight and should be praying that Josh Copeland can knock him out, because if he doesn't, and if Arlovski does what I think he is going to do, it's a shutdown. It's a shutdown. Do I think Mick Terrell could beat Arlovski? Of course I fucking do. Big up Big Mick. I think he was unlucky against Ben Rothwell. I think Big Mick is the best heavyweight in the world. But Arlovski is fucking fabulous. In all seriousness, that is a fight I would love to see. And yeah, Arlovski obviously already has knocked out Ben Rothwell once, so he will have one eye on that BKFC heavyweight championship. And if he does win that, I don't know if there's anyone who will be able to take it off him. Anyway, boys, let me know what you think. What do you think of Andrei Arlovski's changeover? Adios, la bosh.